Or they are taking the camera out of its little box, all of that stuff. But yeah, for less than $1,000, you can do this, and this is just a cheap little backyard type deal that you can do. You can send a camera up to the edge of space for not very much money. But going back to the original point, aviation and space technology are getting a lot cheaper. And in this country, especially here in the United States, private aviation is a big thing. So, if you're one of those middle aged flat earthers with younger kids or relatives of a similar age who go flying and have a better understanding on reality and perspective, it's got to be really interesting for you to sit down and have a beer with them or even to have any social life with them, because they're going to be looking at you and scratching their head quite considerably, because I don't imagine you'd be the one to sit there and go, oh, well, no, what you saw was an illusion. You have to believe me blindly and just follow my delusions of grandeur, because what you saw was merely just a projection, a hologram, a fake, even though they know how to fly an airplane, they know how to get into the airplane, they know how to taxi it out onto the runway, take off, go up, fly around, and get up to 5 or 6 thousand feet, kind of get an idea of what things around them look like, and you know have an understanding of how the atmosphere works, what the Earth's natural cycles are, how magnetics work, how magnetic headings work, all of that stuff. That's all stuff you have to know to get your pilot's license. You have to have a basic understanding of how to be competent in the seat of an airplane. Even if you're not going up to the edge of space where you can really see the curvature of the Earth, you still have to know what you're doing. And any aviator knows that the higher you go, the closer and closer you are to beginning to see the Earth's curvature, because, you know, the Earth is an object that's only so big, and when you start to zoom out, you start to begin to see the object on its full scale. And the reason the Earth appears flat from our perspective is because the Earth is so freaking massive that it appears flat just based on that premise alone. I mean, heck, you can even go out to the Pacific Ocean and you can look offshore and you can see the horizon itself. You can see the ocean horizon. I mean, yeah, you're only looking about 5 miles out from shore, but you can see that round. It's not a perfectly flat line. I mean, it's got a little bit of a kind of a super, 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 super long curvature to it.
I have a question.
Yes.
When I load up a circle in GIMP, which is an equivalent to Photoshop but free, go to gimp.org if you want it. It's real cool. But if I load up a circle in GIMP and I zoom in on the edges as far in as I could zoom, my question is, why does this perfectly round circle seem to be made up of really big flat square pixels when you zoom into that level? It's like, like that's my question. Because, like what you're saying, we're on the pixel level of the Earth, in my humble opinion. I personally have never been to the stratosphere, but as far as I can tell, we're on the pixel level of the Earth. And though I've never been to the stratosphere, I have been in GIMP. And I have zoomed all the way in on a circle. And lo and behold, what did I find? Perfectly flat square pixels. Just
And if you
saying.
and if you zoom even deeper, you can zoom into those square pixels and find even smaller circles, and then even smaller circles after that, and smaller circles after that. Science has actually proven that the sphere is one of the most natural shapes that nature can possibly form. So why would there be this giant contradiction, as it were? You look out into the cosmos, everything is round. Stars, planets, asteroids are their own jumbly form of round, but anything and everything in the universe has a round shape to it if it's a solid mass. So why is it would we be the cosmic exception? Why would we be the only planet in the known universe that is this flat disk that has terrain underneath it and this weird kind of inverted cone, that happens to have the entire universe going around it? What does it say? Science is the universe of some sort. Circles and squares. Well, I mean, either way you look at it, but from the even going, I'm talking about going down to the smallest molecular level. We're talking like super small molecular level.
Yeah, that we've never actually seen, because even science will admit that the theory of the atom is still a theory. We've never actually.
It's still a theory. Yes, I'm aware, but I mean
everything's superposition of energy. So
exactly. But even on the smallest levels of what we can see, you know, going to the smallest thing that we can see, everything starts to look, more liquid form, and you start to see the composition of nature is spherical. I mean, it just is. I mean, yeah, there's the clusterfuck of all the different shapes, but everything in nature comes from the basis of a spherical form. You know?
Can you do me a favor? Do a YouTube list lookup of like whatever keywords that you feel is best to use for it. Do a lookup and count and see how many different, entries there are for regular, private individuals that have done weather balloons or rockets or taken that little jet plane up like you were talking or whatever. And, like show all the tons of results for each thing. And as people are watching it, my question is, how did the elites put every single one of those on their payroll to hide the flatness of the earth? Like, how did they get, like, everybody from Farmer Joe and his barn all the way on up? How did they get to absolutely everybody and get them to post all these videos and stuff? Like what mechanism do they have that literally they can just make as many people as they want to from Joe Hick Farmer all the way on up the scale, just be like, oh yeah, we're going to pay you millions of dollars to help us with this conspiracy. We're already spending too much money on fucking war. Where is the money to pay all these people off to be a part of this conspiracy? So as you're proving that all these different entries from individual people exist, that's the question to ponder. How did they get like all these tons of people in on it? That's my question.
Mm-hmm. Well, besides nature being spherical, I can say from experience that I have, because when I flew to Florida, there was a set of thunderstorms that we went through, and the pilot actually had to take the plane up to, I want to say, 43 or 44,000 feet. So I've been up there.
Did you see the curvature of the earth?
It was in the middle of the night, so no, I did not.
Oh, damn, because, I was so hoping you did. Because I was going to start poking fun and going, I've got a government-paid shill working with me on PSEC.
Well, you technically
pretend to freak out.
Because I've been at that altitude by default, so that makes me a shill whether I want to be or not. Because how dare I say that I've been up there, because I can't have been up there, because that's impossible.
There's this one flight in the southern hemisphere. I forgot the name of it, but there's this one flight that flat earthers claim can't possibly exist in a flat earth. And anybody who takes video or pictures or whatever makes any claim of having been on that flight is automatically accused of being an agent of the Illuminati in on the conspiracy, which is also why Max Egan takes so much flack, because he was able to show that, he was on such a flight and they were just like, oh, it's all CGI, you're fake, you're doing it in a studio. And Max is just like, wow, really?
Yeah. Well, yeah, and it's just like I stated earlier, they put so much effort into their belief system that they just completely shut out reality in the process, which is sad. Yeah, as I said earlier, whether it be these backyard guys or, anybody for that matter who's experienced flight or aviation of any kind, I mean, does that make every person that holds a pilot's license in this country automatically some sort of government paid agent because they've been up there, they've seen the earth?
Can you give me an approximation of just how many pilots approximately exist on this planet? I know no one can know the exact figure, but I know you could probably come closer than anybody else that I know.
I'll just go for the U.S.
How many licensed pilots in the world? They've got that figure too.
Number of active pilots as of the end of 2015 in the U.S., there were an estimated 590,039 active yeah, they typoed their certificated. I think they meant to say certified pilots. This number has been declining gradually over the past several decades, unfortunately, due to our government's lack of total funding, which is a load of crap. Over the past several decades, down from a high number of 827,000 pilots in 1980.
I want to play devil's advocate with some math and whip out a calculator here. So let's round up to 600,000. So, okay, let's say all 600,000 pilots are in on the conspiracy to hide the flat earth. Let's say they're all being paid off. We have to ask ourselves, if you were a pilot, what amount of money, if you were the type to take bribe money for that sort of thing, what amount of money would be worth it for you to keep the secret? Because, you know, you got a choice, either quit your job or keep the secret. So what amount of money, aside from your pay, the bribe money would be worth keeping the secret? Well, let's figure nobody in that position in their right mind would do it for any less than 10 mil. I mean, you know, if you're going to go for something like that, let's go for gusto. Now, hold on. I just want to play devil's advocate real quick because I got okay, 600,000. So times 10,000,000 equals a massively large amount of money that the government doesn't have because they're too busy spending it on fucking war. So how exactly are all these pilots getting paid off? My logical guess would be that they're not.
Yeah, I've been on many airline flights across the country and have seen the Earth at 25, 30,000 feet. You know, and then there's that one time we went up to 40,000 feet and we were doing about 600 miles an hour, which is close to Mach 1. You know, would have been cool to have gone higher. And during the daytime, doesn't look like we have as good as statistics on the world. Apparently, there's this one. According to an article by Ian Seeger in Flyer magazine, February 2015, there are approximately 130,000 commercial pilots. That's just commercial pilots, mind you, that fly commercial flights, not including all the private pilots, of which 4,000 are female. So, yeah. So you're going to tell me the whole point is
just that it's impossible to pay off that many people.
So you're going to tell me that, you know, anywhere between 600,000 and I would say that we still have this number around the world. I'd say there's probably close to 1 million pilots or even a little over 1 million pilots. If you calculate the entire planet into perspective, maybe 1.5 million. Or
just to be safe, let's just say 2 million total pilots, private, commercial, or otherwise, on the planet, multiplied by a minimum of a $10 million fucking bribe to keep the secret.
Yeah,
we're putting all of our money into fucking war and profiteering. So where's all these, you know, massive billions of dollars and all of this hush money? You know what I mean? And if they were being given it, don't you think that would do kind of some red flagging? Some researcher would go along and like, wait a minute, why does every pilot, regardless of what type of pilot, have no less than $10 million in their bank account? You'd think there'd be a paper trail. Just saying.
There'd be a major paper trail. And not only that, the aviation community is such a tight community that it's like, you know, this whole theory is equivalent to like the one time that Alex Jones went off on his tangent that we lost 10,000 US astronauts. It's like, I'm sorry, but the astronauts especially are more linked into our community than just about anybody. Everybody knows who they are. And if they just randomly disappeared, like, hey, did you know what happened to him? You know what happened to him? You know, he just randomly disappears, no answer, no nothing. Fuck you, we're not telling you. The red flags would start to pop up all over the place because it'd just be like, okay, well, where did all these people go? They were 1 minute they were here doing their thing and, you know, being inspirations, and the next minute they're disappeared like, you know, something out of, I don't know, comparable to like the X-Files or something. You know, it just wouldn't add up. So But yeah, I mean, you can just go down. It gets asinine real quick. But anyway, I'm going to go into
we hear about
Dave.
all the, I just want to say real quick, we hear about all the scientists getting murdered and stuff for discovering stuff. So if astronauts and pilots and all these types of people were getting murdered, don't you think we'd hear about it somewhere, even if only from independent media?
Oh yeah, you kidding me? Yeah, yeah. No, you'd be hearing about it all the time. Okay, so here on just typing in weather balloon GoPro, there's about 52,700 results. So that means 52,700 people potentially have, you know, been paid off according to these ridiculous theories that these people come up with. And here's going back to the rocket launch, space. Okay, here's another one here for GoPro Edge of Space, about 203,000 results. So we're looking at about 250,000 people just right there for those two things alone.
By that logic, we must be paid government chills for having this hangout at all. Woo-hoo.
Yeah, exactly. And that's just the statistics that we know of, not including other private home videos that have never made it to YouTube or are just sitting in somebody's closet somewhere gathering dust. There's a lot of that out there too. And yeah, this really puts the kibosh on everything. I mean, yeah, there's people like this, who do little knickknack things. Lego man flies to edge of space with a little Canadian flag, which is kind of cool. It's kind of cool to say you own a little Lego that went up into space and came back. But I mean, there are just dozens. There's several videos here. Several videos. Oh, high school students. Here you go. Here's another one, the science classroom. High school students send camera to the edge of space using weather balloons. So you're going to tell me that all those kids in that high school classroom are all of a sudden in on it too, that they're somehow, I mean, how ridiculously down the rabbit hole are we going to go here?
Because, I knew that little Peggy down the block was a Fed. I knew it. She looks too cute. She must be evil. She's a minion of Satan. Yeah, I knew it, that little bitch.
Well, yeah, exactly. And I mean, it just gets to the point where you start pointing fingers at all your average Americans, and before you know it, then you start to read things like Sun Tzu's Art of War and talking about how to divide and conquer the people and using psychological tactics to do so. And you begin to realize, maybe am I being played?
Don't forget Machiavelli. That's another must-read.
Mm-hmm. Machiavelli, all of that stuff. I mean, and eventually you start to realize, oh, I'm one of the tools being used by the system to divide and they conquer, pitting people against each other. The road to hell is paved with good intentions. You think you're doing the righteous might fight, and you just realize that you're being a fool and you're acting like a fool.
And in the non-conspiracy theory context, why would anybody want to divide the people, this, that, and etc.? Simply put, money, money, bling, power, money, and war's a racket, and it's very lucrative, and power, money, power, money. Any questions?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm just, it's just one of those things. And then, of course, going back to the U2 and all of that stuff, here's the U2 coming back. By the way, for people who are just catching in, I was showing the James May on the Moon documentary. James May was part of Top Gear on BBC. But anyway, here they are coming back to California, Beale Air Force Base. There they are landing on the bicycle wheels. You can see that's a challenging process. But are you going to tell me that this little scene right here is CGI'd, faked, when you can just drive out to Beale Air Force Base, which is next to Yuba City, which is in fact where my friend Brianna, lives, mind you. She's out there working out there near Beale. So is everybody around Beale Air Force Base all of a sudden a conspiracy theorist because, or a paid Fed because they see these U2s going up into the stratosphere and coming back? Does that mean that they're all paid off too because those U2s go up to the edge of space, so they must be in on it? I mean, where does it end?
Can you Google something for me? Seeing as you're the one on screen share. Google, if it'll show you. Seeing as the Concorde has been taken offline for a while now, within the lifespan of the Concorde, however many years it was flying, approximately how many people have flown it? Because those people have all claimed to see the curvature of the Earth out the window. So if you can find out how many people who have flown it, that's how many more people the government would have to be paying a minimum of 10 million in hush money. So let's see how much we can raise the bribe figure to like ridiculous levels by thinking of all these different groups of people that would have to be paid off in order to keep the secret.
I bet that figure isn't even readily available, but I can tell you. I do know what the seating capacity was. Could go Mach 2 and carry anywhere between 92 and 128 passengers. So considering Concorde could do, let's see, it could do a transatlantic flight in under 2 hours from New York to London, and there was a time it's flying between Miami and New York in less than an hour. I want to say Concorde did about 2 flights every day. So if we're doing like 92 to 128 people 2 times a day, that's a couple hundred, 200 or 300 people a day, back at the height of its flying career.
And then multiply that by a year, and then multiply that by the amount of years in the range listed. And again, it's another extreme amount of
300, and we'll times that by 12. So that's 3,600 people a year flying Concorde. Concorde started flying in about 1969, was retired in 2003.
14 years?
No, it was longer than that. First flew in 1969. I want to say it started carrying passengers in 19... trying to remember what the documentaries would say, 1971 or 72.
Okay, well then just go from 71 to whatever the top of the statistic is there, and then
okay, so it flew for about 32 years. So 300 or 3,600 times 32. That's 115,200 on a rough estimate.
Multiplied by 10 million in payoff money each. At minimum.
10,000. Okay, so
multiplied by 10 million.
That's 10 million.
At minimum.
So let's see. $1,152,000,000,000.
So we're looking at massive amounts in the fucking trillions.
So
just to pay off
that means we're putting ourselves into entire national debt. Oh, and also that's not including British Airways pilots. That's not including British Airways stewardesses who all live in the UK, mind you. So that means you would have to pay off. Oh, also you'd have to pay off the Queen of England too, because after all, she can't be really that trustworthy. I mean, it goes all the way through. I mean,
and what about Johnny 5-year-old that flew, that doesn't understand enough to even be bribed? Who's going to go around going, I saw the curvature of the Earth with mommy and daddy. You can't shut that up.
Mm-hmm. The Earth's not flat, silly head. It's round. I saw it. Yeah, exactly.
So it's looking like in order to hush everybody up that would need to be hushed up to keep the secret, you're probably looking at a higher dollar figure than the total accumulation of all the national debts of all the countries in the world. You're probably looking at a figure that even our current fiat system, as insidious as it is, like the math would break and the entire economy of the planet would implode, which wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing, because then governments would have to make their own money instead of fiat money, and yay, debt would be gone and equity would resume. But either way, that amount of payoffs would have already imploded the global economy and put it to zero. So it's like, it's really ridiculous when you start looking at these figures. How many people would need how much hush money, in order to keep the secret? It's completely astronomical. And my question is, how did they do it? Because if they really paid everybody off, and then of course, what about all the different technical people, the people that view the monitoring screens for the camera, this and that, whether you're talking about people, who worked in NASA or for airlines or private companies or whatever, all the regular employees that were looking at those view screens through those cameras and seeing all this stuff, like, that's tens of thousands of employees at minimum that would also all need to be paid hush money to keep the big secret. I mean, I'm just saying, I'd love to know how the elites would even pull that one off, because mathematically, even the fiat, Ponzi money system that we have right now would break under that kind of math. It wouldn't be able to sustain that sort of math, and the entire global economy would tank in 2 seconds.
Exactly. Yeah, no, it's, yeah, the whole theory is illogical. It doesn't serve any purpose whatsoever, except as a governmental distraction tool to keep people asleep. It's got no basis or place in any form of reality. Um, it's just the whole flat Earth theory is just designed to keep people distracted from more realistic, relevant topics that have evidence, that have scientific basis backing, understanding experts in the field who can verify things that are going on, and we can see the detrimental effects in our environment and nature. You know,
And like I said
like
earlier, for those more recently tuning in, even if hypothetically, devil's advocate, let's say the earth was flat, breaking news, communist news network, absolute proof, Fox lies, the earth is flat, end of story, everybody's unanimous on it. How's that going to stop all the damage that Wall Street is doing, and all the genocide and all the pollution and all the division and all the this and all the that? It's okay, yeah, everybody knows the world's flat now, so now everybody's going to be singing Kumbaya around the campfire, and all the elites are going to be like, well, we were wrong for being so greedy. Let's kiss and make up. It's like, how is that more important than compassion, empathy, and unity, and uniting together to make this world a better place? And then once we make it a better place and we kick out all of the scumbag assholes and bust the lid off all the secrets, and whether or not you're talking about the shape of the earth or the nature of angels and demons and ETs and whatever else might be hiding in the most bottom sub-basement of the Vatican or the NSA headquarters or wherever, we can get to all that once we're unified and kick out the bad guys. But before you do that, then how is whatever the shape of the earth is, are not going to magically do away with all this scumbaggery? Is unicorns for no reason and magical force fields and Wall Street bankers are just going to be beamed into the sun by Scotty and his magic transporter? I mean, like how? Because flat earthers have literally told me that the shape of the earth is literally the singular most important thing right now for humanity. Like, really? More important than compassion, empathy, and unity, and kicking out the bad guys who have been polluting this earth and fucking us over and genocide and this and that? It's more important than that? They've had the audacity to tell me, yes, it is. But when I ask how, why, they can't answer. I'd like an answer. I don't expect one, but I'd like an answer.
exactly. Yeah, it's just um, and another thing that I could also bring up that could go into. Um, so in 2011, for some of those who don't know me or haven't really had a chance to know me, if you've never seen me before, like I said, my name's Richard Hamilton. I go by General Tate on a website called DeviantArt. I upload aviation photos. I have a Daily Motion. I upload a lot of aviation videos there. I also have a YouTube channel where I upload, when I get the opportunity, these PSEC hangouts that we do.
As long as you've got screen share engaged anyway, as you're telling people about it, why don't you also show and tell instead of just tell? You've got the capability.
That's true. I do. Anyway, yeah, let me go to my profile here. Let it load here. Yeah, here's my profile. But anyway, upload aviation photos, firearms related stuff. I go political every now and again. I upload blogs of various articles that I find interesting. I haven't done that in a while. Been preoccupied as of late, but
Paradigm Shift and Educational Comedy also has a DeviantArt account, and you can also display that profile whenever you feel ready to do so.
I can leave that up to you to display later.
Alrighty.
Since that is your profile. But anyway, yeah, here's a bunch of my aviation stuff that I do upload on the topic of what we've been talking about with this whole flat Earth thing. And I've got direct firsthand experience working in the industry. I'm around it. I've grown up around it. My father's an aircraft mechanic. It's just something I have a part of. I'm a part of. Oh, here's a picture of the Earth. Here's a classic picture.
And you used to work for Millionaire.
Yeah, I used to work for Millionaire. That's, yep, where I've got my industry experience. Yeah, here's a picture of the curvature of the Earth. You can say that Ed White got paid off, you know, in the time that he was alive back in the 60s. You know, oops, ooh, that's from a picture of the space shuttle. Oops. That's looking curved to me. Uh-oh.
Remember, if any data defies your preconceived notions, it's automatically fake. No research required, just unicorns.
Uh-oh. It's curved. Oh, that's looking curved. Oops. Yeah, those astronauts who took the picture of that Skylab, they must have been paid. Uh-oh. Yeah. Mm-mm.
Well, you know that.
Those astronauts who were there on Apollo 8, oh, they must have been paid. There's the round moon and the round Earth. You can't have that.
You know that 1965 version of Photoshop is really dope. People should check into it.
Oh, see.
Punch card.
There's
Photoshop.
There's the flat Earth right there. See, there's the picture of it. See, there's the real picture. At night, too. It's like, no, you know what NASA can do? They can take a round globe image after they've done multiple passes with satellites. They can actually Photoshop manipulate it to make it nice and flat.
Shut up. Panoramas don't exist. That's fake. Shut up.
Panoramas do exist, you shill. Ooh, more curves.
Look what I have to put up with, all these government agents infiltrating Paradigm Shift and Educational.
I know,
Look at what I have to put up with. You fucking CIA agent motherfucker.
I know. Running NASA headquarters on DA, I must be paid.
Oh, yeah, totally. Gotta be. It's the only answer. Because after all, you run the NASA headquarters group, which obviously can't just be an aviation fan page. It must literally mean you're paid by the Fed, man.
Oh, yeah, I upload all these patches. I must be really paid. Yeah, look at all that. I must be a real paid agent. Uh-oh. But anyway, yeah, that's my air and space stuff. Let me go to... I can show you the Facebook. Actually, I'm going to show you the group first.
Yeah, Richard's just got to find his password in order to show me the Stargate, that forgetful bastard.
Yeah, here's the NASA headquarters group where I do a lot of good stuff.
You might want to get rid of the TSU entry on there, seeing as TSU went TS poo, because Sebastian's.
I wouldn't mind. I haven't used GIMP in a while, but I would like to make something for the Daily Motion page of mine and just
sure, just edit where it says TSU and put in make it blue instead of a gray box for the Daily Motion blue, and then in white on the blue, because Daily Motion's white and blue, just put DM. It's an easy fix.
Okay. Yeah, you'll have to.
We'll discuss it later.
Okay. Yeah, you can do it or show me how to do it. Anyway, but yeah, that's been up for months. It's defunct, no longer works. Scrolling down, affiliated with a lot of aviation and sci-fi groups, you know. Oh, look, here's a round sun. The sun should be a flat disk too, you know, because nothing can be round.
NASA HQ was going to have its own Twitter, but according to Twitter, having a fan page is pretending to be somebody or whatever. And it's like, all right, fuck you, you bunch of SJWs, whatever. We don't need a Twitter then.
Mm-hmm. And NASA does, the official NASA Twitter page does just as good of a job because they've got all that stuff already set where it's basically just dumping into the main feed from all of their other stuff. So it's just as good.
Well, hey, at least I've got all of the DeviantArt uploads for that pumping straight into the NASA headquarters page on Facebook. At least Facebook wasn't so Naziistic as to say no, you can't do that. So there's at least that.
Exactly. Let's see, NASA. Go to the Facebook page here.
I can definitely submit this hangout to the group. That's for damn sure.
Yes, she can. Well, this will be a hangout I'll even make for a journal entry on the NASA headquarters page just because it's covering all of these relevant topics. It's just that relevant. We'll have to do one on the Apollo stuff later and some of the other space program theories.
Oh yeah, and we can play back that video, that one that guy made of exactly why the moon landing couldn't have been faked because they didn't have the technology to fake it.
And just reference back to this video or any other type of, you know, theory, etc., so on and so forth. Because he says a lot of the same sort of stuff, but, you know, now I acknowledge NASA being a government organization, you know, is not perfect and is not a saint or infallible from being shady or being co-opted or controlled by shady people or messed up people, or, you know, it's part of the military industrial complex. It's got its shady history. It's had Nazi scientists doing stuff for the program, you know.
But let's remember, boys and girls, just because NASA was originally started by Nazis doesn't mean anything, because if Hitler said the sky is blue, it doesn't make it less true just because he said it. Use a little discernment, people.
Exactly. It doesn't make NASA an automatically evil organization or a bad, terrible, horrible thing because, you know, it happened to be started or partially started by people like Wernher von Braun, who, given their nasty and treasonistic history with humanity, still had dreams and still did amazing feats of engineering such as the Saturn V program and made up for a lot of that.
The nasty thing about Wernher von Braun is that he wasn't really into the Nazi ideology so much as he didn't care who paid for his funding. He just wanted to create something to go up into space. He didn't care who paid for it or how many millions of people, the people that he was paying for it, got murdered in the process. He just didn't give a shit. So that was the nastiness about von Braun. He was a real fucking class act.
Exactly. But anyway, this is the